Hello and welcome to season 3, episode 2 of Para New Orleans, the Paranormal New Orleans podcast, where we tell tales of the strange, the scary, the spooky, the otherworldly, and the unexplained from across the greater New Orleans area, Louisiana, and beyond. Thank you for joining us. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this new episode of Para New Orleans. The road stretched endlessly beneath the silver wash of moonlight, cutting through the dark heart of the southern woods. A young couple, we'll call them Marissa and Evan, were 8 hours into their 10-hour drive from Florida to Georgia. They were taking their time, laughing at roadside billboards, stopping for diner food, shopping along the way as well, and talking about the future. Marissa and Evan had been dating for almost a year. They had just moved in together the month prior, and there was talk of marriage. Marissa, who was a little nervous, this would be her first time meeting Evan's parents in person. Now, Evan came from a very old Georgia family with very deep pockets. Evan avoided most questions about his family for whatever reason, but Marissa never delved too deeply into why he didn't want to answer any questions. Still, he was charming, attentive, and funny. Exactly what she needed. By the time night fell, the highway had grown very quiet. The trees pressed close, their branches tangled like black veins against the sky. Evan, who did all of the driving that day, was talking about this or that. Marissa really wasn't paying too much attention. She was scrolling through her phone. And then all of a sudden, the car jolts, gives a violent shudder, and then the unmistakable sound of rubber flapping against asphalt. Evan cursed, steered the car onto the narrow shoulder, and announced, "Flat tire. We're fine though. I'll call for roadside assistance to help." Marissa exhaled, settled even further into her seat, took a look around. They were in the middle of nowhere, so she figured it would be a while before roadside assistance showed up. Evan, before he picked up the phone to call, decided he would check the trunk to see if he could change the tire himself. He hopped out, quickly checked the trunk, and then made his way back into the car. He told Marissa that there was no way that the spare tire he had would hold up for them to make it to the next exit. He picked up his phone, dialed roadside assistance, answered a bunch of questions, and then waited for someone to come on the line. Marissa looked around nervously, feeling somewhat uncomfortable, knowing that they would be sitting and waiting for a while. Finally, customer service came on the line. Evan gave them the information, the mile marker where they were, and the operator said it would be a couple of hours. Figures. So he said no problem. The night air was thick, humid. Oddly enough, everything was so quiet. There were no crickets, no frogs, nothing. There was barely any wind, but there was no rustling of the leaves or the trees. Evan cracked the windows, and Marissa just looked at him, thinking maybe, just maybe, they should try and make it a little further up the road. But then that would really put a kink in her plans. So she smiled at Evan, made a little small talk, and then she heard it. She shushed Evan. Shh. She heard it again. And she asked him, "Did you hear that?" He looked around, wondering what she was hearing, telling her it was probably just an animal off in the distance. We are in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, by the way. Marissa shook her head and said, "No, no, it definitely wasn't an animal. Just listen." And they both sat quietly, listening intently, but still nothing. So Evan laughs awkwardly. He's not very comfortable sitting in the place where they're sitting because no cars have passed by. There's no house or neighborhood or gas station in sight. He had an uneasy feeling, almost feeling like they were sitting ducks, just waiting for their stalker to come along and pluck them off the side of the highway. He pushed the idea out of his mind and he started making easy conversation once again. But then there was that noise, a faint cry, louder this time. And Evan definitely heard it because it stopped him in the middle of his conversation. Marissa looked at him. "You heard it, didn't you?" He nodded yes. And as they were sitting there, they heard it again. "Help me. Help me. Help me." Unmistakable, undeniable. Definitely someone asking for help. Help me. Marissa's skin prickled, almost like she was touching some electrified socket, and it was very gently transferring its energy to her. She got goosebumps. Someone's out there, she said. Evan squinted and looked out into the woods, his jaw tense. I don't see anything. It could just be an animal, Marissa said. Animals don't ask for help. And there was the voice again, closer this time. Please help me. Marissa sat up in her seat. I don't know, Evan. I don't know about this. Something doesn't sound right. Let's just take our chances. Start the car and let's get up the highway. I'm sure there's some place where we could pull off not too far from here. Evan held up his hand and said, nah, somebody could really need some help. I don't feel comfortable just pulling off. What if somebody really is hurt? What if somebody really needs assistance? I have a flashlight in the trunk. I can grab it and just go take a peek. I won't go out into the woods. I'll just stay right on the edge and just use the flashlight. I just can't pull off. What if somebody is really injured? Marissa looked at him. Please don't go out there, Evan. I don't have a good feeling about this. Evan sat back for a moment. Listen, if it was you or me out there, I would want somebody to at least try to offer me some help. Marissa touched his arm, squeezed it, said, Evan, please, let's just sit here. When the tow truck pulls up, we'll tell him about it, and then we can call the police. Evan smiled. It won't take me long. I'm just going to get the flashlight out the trunk and go take a look. I'll be right back. He put his hand on the door handle. Before Marissa could say anything else, he was out the door, in the trunk, slamming it closed. She looked in her side view mirror and watched as he turned the flashlight on. And before he walked any further, he scanned the woods. It was silent again. She didn't think there was really a person out there, but she knew there was no stopping Evan. When he got something in his mind, that was it. He committed to it, held on to it like a dog holds on to a bone. The perpetual Southern gentleman, always trying to prove his bravery, always trying to prove his manhood, always trying to prove something to someone. And that is what Marissa disliked the most about him. He always had to prove himself. But it also made him a perfect target for her plan. She knew that he wouldn't be able to help himself. His curiosity would get the best of him. She knew that if there was an opportunity to make himself the hero, he would take it. She watched him walk into the woods and get swallowed up by the blackness of the night. The minutes dragged on for what seemed like forever, but in reality, it was maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Things got heavier. Marissa wondered what was happening. How far had he gotten into the woods? And just as the thought passed her mind, she heard a single piercing scream. It was Evan. And he's screaming her name over and over again. Marissa! 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 And the sound is getting closer, and she's hearing the snapping of the trees and the crunching of the leaves. And she's sitting up, both hands pressed against her window, waiting to see Evan, waiting for him to get back to the car. And suddenly he bursts through the tree line and he's screaming, unlock the door! Open the door! Open the door! And he rushes around to the driver's side. Marissa presses the door lock. Evan is scrambling for the door handle, pulling, eyes wide, face sweaty. And he's peering into the car, banging on the window, screaming her name, Marissa, open the door! And she's just staring at him. And then her face turns into the woods. And just at that moment, a dark, massive, quick-moving blob bursts from the tree line. Shapeless, tall, moving, almost like it's vibrating. She can see limbs, but no distinguishable face. And she smiles. And Evan continues to bang on the windows of the car, continues to scramble to try to get in. Marissa continues to watch the dark blob get closer to the car. Evan begins to panic and continues to scream. He starts to run, and Marissa watches as he only gets a few feet. Her expression hardens as she watches the dark blob overtake Evan. His screams get more intense. The thing dragged Evan to the ground. Its unnatural look engulfing him like a big black cloud of smoke. She can see Evan's feet sticking out, jerking, kicking, as the thing slowly pulls Evan back into the darkness of the woods. And his screams are suddenly cut short. And the thing completely disappears along with Evan. When things have completely gone quiet once again, Marissa opens her door and steps out. She stands alongside the car, searching the trees for any indication of life. And then the thing comes out again, this time moving as though it's trying to form into something. She notices a head begin to form. The limbs become more discernible. It's starting to take shape. And as it's doing all of this, it's getting closer and closer to Marissa. She doesn't move. She stands still, watching this thing take the shape of a man, her man, Evan. It gets closer. And this time she's watching from the feet up, the same shoes, socks, pants, everything Evan had been wearing coming into form. She looks, and just as the face on this thing that had now become Evan is forming with a big smile on its face, she says, "It took you long enough." The thing that was now Evan smiled, shook itself as though it were shaking off the cold of the night. It wiped the blood from its mouth, ran its fingers through its hair, and said, "Sorry," in Evan's voice. but he put up a pretty big fight. Marissa walked up and wrapped her arms around the thing that was now Evan. You always did take your time, though. But we can't afford that anymore. It's been a long 75 years, my love. We have to keep pace now. The thing that was now Evan smirked. 69, actually. My last body didn't last as long as yours. They both laughed, but it wasn't the laugh of a human. It was the laugh of something you find in the darkest corners of the night. Let me finish cleaning up, the thing that was now Evan said. It went and checked the area to make sure that there was no evidence obviously left on the side of the road. It went back into the woods to make sure that it had properly disposed of the pile of wet flesh and crushed bone that was now Evan's dead body. By the time anyone stumbled across it, it would just look like a bunch of decaying animal bones. The thing emerged once again just as the tow truck pulled up. Marissa and the thing that was now Evan pulled themselves together, acted as though they were just getting some fresh air. They made easy conversation with the mechanic as he changed the tire. When he was done, he wished the couple well. The thing that was now Evan gave him a tip. He waved goodnight, and off he went to his next job. The thing that was now Evan and Marissa got into the car. She asked him, "Do you remember how to drive?" He looked at her and said, "Yes. You forget. We have evolved to absorb memories, habits, everything that we have learned." She smiled, just making sure. It's been so long since I've seen you, since I've been with you. It's been too long. I put my signal out and I didn't think you would find it. It feels good to be back with you again. She leaned over and kissed the thing that was now Evan, the same thing that she herself was. He started the car up, and Marissa asked, "What about his parents? How is this going to go?" The thing that was now Evan turned the wheel to pull back out on the highway. Normal. We'll be normal. We'll charm them like usual. And then we'll see. We'll see which bodies suit us best. Marissa smiled and said, "Okay, I trust you. Whatever you think is best." The thing that was now Evan sped up. Marissa turned on the radio. They rolled the windows down and let the night air hit them, cool and refreshing. On to their next victims, perhaps. Who knows? They left what was once Evan behind deep in the woods and allowed the darkness and the trees to hold on to their secret. It wasn't easy being on the earth as long as they had, maneuvering and figuring out new and different ways to continue to exist. And much like the woods at night that keeps secrets hidden under its canopy, they continued forward on to their next destination, smiling and talking as though they were just a perfectly normal human couple. Well, what an interesting saga that was. Tell me, listeners, what exactly do you think Marissa and Evan are? Do you think these types of things truly walk among us? Or is it just fiction? I can certainly tell you, truth is much stranger and quite often much scarier than fiction will ever be. This has been season 3, episode 2 of Para Norleans, the Paranormal New Orleans podcast. We try to tell stories of a different kind. We hope you enjoyed this one. We appreciate you for listening. And as always, make sure you are following the Paranorleans podcast on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. We are on all podcast streaming platforms. There is also a podcast playlist on the YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed to the Fat Girl Freestyle channel on YouTube. If you would like to support, please be sure to share these episodes with your friends, family, and coworkers, even strangers in the grocery store. If you would like to make a monetary donation in support. You can Venmo at Fat Girl Freestyle. Also Zelle and Apple Pay at fatgirlfreestyle@gmail.com. If you have a story that you would like to share and have it featured on the Paranorleans podcast, please feel free to send us an email at fatgirlfreestyle@gmail.com. And as always, keep it spooky. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Paranorleans, the Paranormal New Orleans podcast. Good night.